Welcome to Lodge with Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it truly takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya, a TEDx speaker, a leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. While many episodes feature conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world, today's episode is a solo reflection, a space for us to slow down and explore a leadership, visibility, or career insight together. These episodes are designed to help you learn, unlearn, and walk away with grounded perspective and practical takeaways you can apply in real life. So if you're ready to lead with intention, if you're ready to amplify your voice, and if you're ready to grow with clarity over time, you are in the right place. Let's get into today's episode. There came a point in my career when excellence became a trap. A time when high performance stopped having the desired return. You know, the moment you realize that doing everything right isn't moving the needle for you at all. Delivering at a high level no longer has the same effect on your career development. You're still trusted with the most complex projects. You're still relied on to put out the toughest fires. But somehow, this is all you do. There is nothing progresses from there. Can you relate to this experience? Can you relate to why excellence can quietly become a trap? We'll talk about this today and also why most leadership advice will not work for you at this stage. So, earlier on in my career, I believed these three things: work hard, stay prepared, become indispensable, and you will sail to the top almost effortlessly. And for a while, it worked. I was getting promotion after promotion, raise after raise. It felt really good. I didn't believe how easy it was to succeed in my career. So I tightened my timeline, I set bigger and bolder goals, and I doubled down. I became the person people called when things went wrong. I became the fixer. I became the one trusted with complex issues. I became the one expected to hold things together. And maybe you know this because you are the same. You're the one people rely on. You're the one who steps in to fix things. You're the one who never drops the ball. But the reality then hits. Sometimes, after several long years, after several attempts at pushing past this, you realize that being called reliable is not a compliment. It's a container, it's a box. It becomes your prison. Because while you're being reliable, other people that are less competent, less qualified, that don't even put in half the effort of the work that you do, are being presented as the right fit for the roles that you know you deserve. Why? Because you've landed and are stuck at a point where you're trusted with all this responsibility, but not given any authority. You're included in the execution of tasks, projects, but excluded from decision making. Even if you're included in some of the decision making where it matters the most, at the top levels, at the higher levels, you're not included. Time after time, you're told you're doing great, keep doing what you're doing. I heard someone say that is probably one of the worst feedbacks you could ever get. Because when they give it to you, take that to mean that you're doing great, actually, that they see you, that they see your work, and therefore there's hope. Because what follows is that you now decide, okay, I just have to wait to the next promotion cycle. I have to wait until the budget is approved. I only have to wait a few short months until my manager moves on to the next thing and then I'll take over his position. But here's what really matters. And the information we don't get, many systems don't reward your excellence with what you think you deserve. They reward you for being the person who absorbs pressure without disrupting the hierarchy. So if you're excellent and accommodating, the system has very little incentive to move you up because you're more useful to them where you are right now. That's why, like I said earlier, career advice like just speak up more or be more strategic and things in that line tend not to work for you at this point in your career. Because the issue isn't what you do, it's not how much you do it. It's not even how much you do, it is how you are positioned. And if you take nothing away from this episode, take this one word positioning. Write it down, stick it on your computer or monitor, paste it on your mirror, and repeat it to yourself every day. Positioning. Your value is not based on what you do, but on how others perceive it. And at these levels, at the levels where you're performing really, I mean, like an executive level almost, like a senior leader or a senior person in your career, at those levels, the question shifts from can you do the work? Because we know you can do the work, you've been doing it for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So the question shifts from can you do the work to what would it cost us if you're not here? And if you're just a producer, producers can be replaced. So when the question shifts from can you do the work to what would it cost us if you're not here, that's a completely different signal. So that is what you should be thinking about and looking out for at this time. And that's the reason why most leadership advice or career advice you get at this point will not work for you because they do not account for this. They do not account for the new way that you're being perceived, and they do not account for how you're supposed to be operating at this stage in your career. You need to reposition how you're perceived. And to do this well, you're going to need outside perspective. For the longest time in my career, I was a go getter. I was smart, a high performer. I could pretty much do everything or anything better than most people around me. I could figure things out. And I was very proud of that. And I did figure things out and did move me forward. But one thing it also did was it held me back. Because I always wanted, if I had a challenge, if I had a problem, if something wasn't working out the way I thought it would, my first go to is let me figure this out. And I'll try to figure it out myself. I'll try to read books, listen to podcasts, do research, go on Google. But the reality is that some things you cannot Google. There's some things that you cannot research enough and get that because there's some lived experiences, most unwritten rules. That's why they're called unwritten rules for a reason. Most of the time, the ways you navigate your career, make it work for you, they're not things you can easily access. Sometimes you just get to ingest those informations just by being around the right people. So that is why if you want to reposition how you're perceived and do it well, you're going to need outside perspective. And you're going to need someone who can see what you cannot see, someone who can hold up the mirror to you, someone who can help you step out of being capable and accomplished into being visible and undeniable. Here's to remember. Performance keeps you valuable. Positioning keeps you visible. And at this stage in your career, you want to play at the level where you're visible. If you've heard, I've probably said this before on this podcast, but if I haven't, your career works this way. When you start, it's all about what you know. But you have to move from that to who you know. But ultimately, where you want to get to is who knows you. You could know the CEO, you could know the CFO, but they don't know you. And it wouldn't make a difference in your career. So you go from what you know to who knows you. But you don't leave what you know when you get to who you know, and you don't leave what you know and who you know when you get to who knows you. Your goal is to get to a point where all these three things work together very well. Performance keeps you valuable, positioning makes you visible. Performance keeps you in the room, positioning puts you on stage. I know that for most women instead, when they hear on stage, they start freaking out because we want to be, you know, I'm like walk undercover. I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. I don't want to put myself out there. But the world has changed so much. Putting yourself out there is no longer optional. If you're job searching right now, anybody that will tell you the truth will tell you that literally you have to be visible. You have to maintain this whole LinkedIn presence. You have to have your thought leadership pieces out there. You have to be known. The first thing people do when they see your application is to Google you. The only time that you will not need to be that visible, but again, you're also visible in some ways, is if you have the right connections. You're connected to the right people, you're at the right place at the right time with the right people. But that's also being visible because you've made the effort to not just be behind the scenes, but to step out there, take action, build those relationships so that people know who you are. You cannot avoid being visible. Because if excellence alone created authority, impact, and influence, we wouldn't be where we are today, wondering how do we move forward in our career to achieve the things that we want and the things that we know we can. I advise high performing women who no longer want to put in more effort, but have a clearer positioning and leverage. If this conversation today resonated with you and you're ready for decision level support, you can apply to work with me. I'm going to link the application in the show notes. And I want to let you know before we end today that you are not behind. You've simply outgrown the advice built for earlier stages in your career. There's a saying that goes like this: what gets you here will not get you there. So now you're here, you've exhausted everything that you possibly can, and you have to play a different type of game. You have to look at your career very differently. You have to get out of the doing and start to position yourself for the things that you want. And this stage in your career is not a problem at all. It's actually a good thing. That means you're evolving and you're growing. And getting to a place where you're feeling these things is a signal that you're meant for more. If you want to dive into this a little deeper, click on the link in the show notes and apply to work with me. We just get together, have a conversation, and figure out how you can focus more on positioning and leverage. Until next time, bye. If you have learned something today or feel inspired by this episode, I would love and appreciate it if you leave a review on the Launch Your Leaders podcast. This will help others just like you know that this show is for them too. Find and connect with me and reach out to me in the DMs. I love chatting with you. I am Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya on LinkedIn. Until next time, lead boldly, create impact, and expand your influence.